fuck with.
Years ago, all the way back to somewhere in, I think primary 5 or primary 6, I was going to the music store a lot just to buy cassette tapes, you know, and then that didn't take off very well. My parents wasn't able to afford to buy me like musical instruments like piano or guitar or sort of stuff like that. But every time when I stay over at my cousin's house over the weekend, I'll watch him play the piano and I'll secretly go on and just try to play the piano and stuff like that. And then, and of course in secondary school, that's where the whole thing actually kicked off, is that every other day after school, like maybe 5 or 6 of us, like classmates, we would like arrange and go into the jamming studio, and someone would play the guitar, someone would play the drums. And of course, like I can't play the drums, I can't play the guitar, and what I did was like, I just scream, I just scream songs and I just hang out and just enjoy the vibe of, people jamming and music. And of course, from then on, it moved on, and then, I got more interested, particularly in hip-hop music. That's also because of skateboarding, and because as I was skating, I watched a lot of skate videos just to get more inspiration, but at the same time, when I was watching all these videos, the soundtrack is always hip-hop music, Dilated People, Fugazi, Fiji's, and, a bunch of like underground artists as well, Big L, yeah. Punk rock was cool. It taught me the whole DIY. I think a lot of different music genres with like cultures actually taught you a lot of different values. Like punk rock was cool, but I knew I can't be a punk rocker for the rest of my life. I can't have a mohawk for the rest of my life, and of course skateboarding changed me a lot. I think it was a period where I was kind of like finding myself. Like I go to a punk rock gig, I go to a heavy metal gig, I go to a death metal gig, and I go to a hip hop gig, and I kind of really just enjoy going to a hip hop gig because the culture was much more vibrant, and things are much more positive. Music was a bit more positive, and somehow I just got into that. And but when I began as a DJ, I didn't play hip hop music. Like when I started DJing, when I learned DJing, it was cha-cha music. I was playing for like my mom's like little pub, right? And the place is called Datu Raja. It's a legend to most of your parents, okay? It's a legendary place, right? So what I played was like dangduk and cha-cha music, and of course, like I turned 18, and then my mom's like, why don't you go do some part-time and come work for me? And I was like, okay. I started working and learned a little bit of bartending, did some karaoke jockeying, and then after that she's like, oh, the DJ needs to take off on Sunday, why don't you learn how to DJ, right? So I learned from the guy, and then it was like, back then it was just like Denon, like Denon CDJ, the ones with the, just stop and plus play and play sign. And from there on, it kind of like, the wealth of music has already kind of kicked in, like from old school, like, like heavy metal, even for heavy metal music, there's a lot of funk, there's a lot of hip hop groove involved in it, and that kind of captured my attention most of the time, right? So yeah, from all this sort of like really alternative music into something really mainstream, and then I got to find my balance from there on. Yeah. It was horrible, that's all I know. Of course, the first thing I learned was just just baby scratch, and learn a bit of forward and transform, and yeah, that's about it. Then took off from there. Yeah. It took me a while. Like I tried it, and at that time, as I said, I was like part-timing as a DJ, and of course, it's like, okay, what was so funny was like, okay, the CDJ was there. It was just the time where they kind of switch up their technology. Like turntable was there, but nobody uses the turntable. Like just the CDJ, right? And then behind me was just boxes and boxes of records, right? And like I opened up the boxes and I picked out all the records, like Eric B and Rakim, Criss Cross, who else? I don't know, like OG and stuff like that. And I picked it up. I was like, I just keep it. I keep it till I buy my turntable, and that was like my sense of like motivation to save up money and try to find ways to buy my turntable and set up and stuff like that. So that took a couple of months, and unfortunately, once I bought my turntable, then 2 months later I have to enlist for national service. So all in all, I didn't really have a lot of time to like train myself and get myself really well because national service commitment and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, to be a good scratch artist, I would say it take about 5 to 6 years to understand the philosophy and the reason for doing certain tricks and the art of like just sampling records manually and stuff. So I think that takes a lot of cultivation and a lot more listening. Yeah. My very first setup was a second-hand Technics 1200 and Vestax 06, which is the slim little mixer, and which I bought it off second-hand from someone who wants to get married. Lucky me. And then for speakers, I went to Sungai Road, and I was broke. I spent so much money on turntable. I had no money. I went to Sungai Road. I bought $40 of second-hand old speakers and just go home and try to patch it up, and yeah, it works. I think the comparison back then was that people are much more educated, like in terms of like culture-wise, and people actually has a tendency to listen out for stuff that are a little bit more technical, but today it's just pretty much bubblegum and it's the same loopy and stuff, like the reason I said that was, back then when you listen to a piece of music, even if it's pop music, you hear the arrangements were a little bit more complex, and you actually hear a guitarist like doing a solo or a keyboardist doing a solo, and like you want to find out who the guitarist was because like you want to pick his brain, and that sort of stuff. But today, no, it's just none of that.
Fuck with me.